The girl staggered away from the hero with a shrill cry. Her bewilderment quickly turned to a smile, annoyance with the anger that she wanted to vent on the guy with words, but Lin Mo beat the demon to it. His fingers tightened, then flicked her forehead. After that, he turned to leave the roof and said goodbye to her that she should have never attack him or he'll sue her. These words made the beauty think even more angry, because she was very annoyed that someone dared to threaten her. Mentally, she said she would show him when her strength was restored. She crouched down and began plotting tactics to bring this fucking mortal down tomorrow. As soon as the hero came out from the building, his phone rang. This is Yutan, who is very dissatisfied with the fact that the guy dare not answer her. She wants to know where he is now. The emperor reports that he is still at school. Then the blonde tells him to go to the gate. Guy goes to the girl, realizing that in addition to school, Zhao Yutan plays video games, but the level of her level is quite high, so he decides to go with her today to get to know her secrets. When Lin Mo gets to the girl, she says that he is too slow. She also notices that he wasn't in his last class at school, so she gets interested. Why is he still at school? He replies that he suddenly fell asleep. The blonde, of course, believes him, thinking that he just wanted to skip school. After that, Yutan calms down, saying that, I just wanted to settle a score with him. Then she hands him a helmet and encourages him to get on the bike. They go home to the girl. Lin Mo is given a pair of slippers, and then he enters the room. Spacious room, recognizing that her house is quite large. The blonde asks what he does. Yutan asks him not to touch her things as she goes further into her room. The emperor looks around, seeing a fancy computer and various games, but they have nothing to do with cultivation. Then the girl decides to find out if her brother is too defenseless. On her face appears a mocking smile. The emperor didn't quite understand the concept of defenseless. Blonde, I hurried to explain to him that he had gone too boldly to the girl's house when she called him. The brunette looked up seriously, asking if she still wanted to fight him. Yutan, he notices that he doesn't mind, saying that even though he used to be fat, but now he looks like a fat guy. Not bad, and he won't lose any money if he loses. He touches it with his index finger, lifting the hero's head a little higher to get a better look, but in the next instant retribution awaits her. The guy doesn't hesitate to punch you in the gut. The other woman, knocking the wind out of her and telling her not to touch him. Lin Mo is here. He admits to himself that he could not have imagined that this man had such power, even if he had been so strong. The cultivator was knocked out. Yutan explodes from his seat. A flame of malice appears in her eyes, because she is only a child. She'd touched him, and he'd hit her back. The emperor calmly responds to this, asking not to annoy him in the future because he can't stand such an attitude. The girl challenges him, claiming to win it in 300 rounds. An ominous aura emanates from her, and in her mind she is looking for a revenge game to torture a guy to death. After some time, they start the game. Lin Mo easily copes with all the attacks of the opponent, even without straining too much. Blonde, I'm amazed that she's never won, but she's lost 47 times. The brunette is watching for a while and tells the girl that he needs to go home. She asks for another one. He tried, claiming that she understood his tactics. Lin Mo notices that it's too late. It's late, so it's better to talk about it another day. Leaving, the emperor leaves behind a paper man, who under the influence of his power, it comes alive. Zhao Yutang wants to give him a ride home, but the hero refuses, saying that he will call taxi. At this time, there is a person in the Hyonghui household who is very nervous. She noticed that Lin Mo missed a class at school today, so she wonders where he was. There's a girl calling. She picks up the phone, and apparently her friend asks her to check in on the group chat, arguing that there is something interesting there. Hyonghui does as she is advised. A friend then sees a message in the chat that Lin Mo and Zhao Yutan are returning home. An unknown sender confirms his words with a photo. This news makes try to jump up from your seat. She becomes enraged, wanting to kill Yutan. In a fit of anger, he demolishes a few notebooks from the desk. Hyonghui bites her lip, wishing Zhao would crash in an accident, because she dared to take her to Lin Mo's house. Here an unknown ominous voice notes that all this is just the beginning. Useless words. Above the beauty's head, a fragment of the Demon King appears, which asks if she wants revenge. Hyonghui looks around, summoning the ghost to appear. The fragment takes the form of a dark purple face, noticing that it doesn't matter who he is, because she just needs to know that he is. It can give her such power that she can achieve anything she wants. In that, the moment the girl notices the face of an unknown entity. This scares her, however, upon hearing the words. Maybe she's wondering if it looks like a fairy godmother from a fairy tale. The face is made doomed. the view, realizing that this person has problems with his head, after which the entity tells that she is the strongest magic sword in the world. Ju Yu, broken into pieces after a fierce battles with the emperor, so if the other party helps him recover, then he will make her immortal. Yang Hui immediately promises that she will do whatever is required of her. Ominous, the entity grins in delight at these words. In the next instant, the girl's head comes flying. A powerful beam of purple light, a crystal appears in her forehead after a few moments. Yang Hui falls to her feet, feeling like she has lost all her strength. She asks why this is so. Happened. The entity that has become a part of the girl specifies what powers she wants to possess. The beauty immediately gives her answer. She wants to master hypnosis, so she asks, "Master, teach her." The entity notices that this is a great idea. He offers it. Ability, wandering souls that enter the dream. Yang Hui is already dreaming about how to take the handsome Lin Mo into your own hands. At this time, the latter returns home by taxi. He hoped that the time was not wasted, because he wants to see all the skeletons in the closet. Zhao Yutan. He activates the ability by starting to observe the girl through the paper doll. The blonde is sitting at the computer, swearing at herself, because she lost 40 times in a row. Seeing this, the emperor doesn't understand why she is still playing. He assumes that she is afraid that she will cease to be immortal, after which he notes that she can recover even before the last stage of Kai purification. Yu Tang continues to scold herself because she lost to such a person. The jerk. She encourages herself to play better. Lin Mo is hurt by these words. This is outrageous. So even without having a physical body, he wouldn't let her win. Then the beauty remembers that she still had things to do today. Yu Tan stretches, noting that she has too much to do every day. The hero follows her, hiding their presence. The girl takes off her casual clothes and puts on a formal one, a suit with a red tie. She opens one of the cabinets, which contains weapons and the mascot. There is a katana, machete, sword, firearms, and several types of grenades. The emperor understands that although these talismans are not of the best quality, they are rare in this world. They meet. He rushes out of his seat to follow her and find out more information. The paper man lands on Yu Tan's skirt in a few jumps. Past, he gets on a motorcycle and goes somewhere. The blonde notices to herself that Lin Mo's shampoo smells very good. After that, he starts to get angry, saying that this helmet already belongs to him. She walks into a beautiful building. The building then passes through the beautiful doors, ending up in the banquet hall. Host offers to raise glasses and bless the new couple on this beautiful day. After that, she passes the word to the bride. Beauty in a black wedding dress thanks all her friends and family, a relative, for coming to her wedding with Cheng Zixu despite the busy schedule. After that, she continues with her long speech, thanking the parents and all the guests for. Separately, Yu Tang takes an empty seat, deciding to wait until it's all over. Some time passes, and the host announces that the wedding ceremony of Zhu Linyu and Cheng Zixu is officially over. The celebration begins. The blonde stands up from her seat. The bride asks if her betrothed is tired, because ahead, another celebration. The guy claims that he started to feel better after making toasts. Just then, Yu Tan appears in the couple's line of sight. They immediately start to get nervous, and the guy even covered with beads of sweat. The bride steps forward and asks what's the matter. Blonde, she emphasizes that she has fulfilled the guy's wish, so it's time for him to go. New husband begins to transform into a huge wolfman. The clothes on his body are being torn apart by the huge explosion. Muscle volume, and he himself asks how it is possible to satisfy human desires so easily. The monster is about to attack Yu Tan, but in the hands of the latter is already a yellow piece of paper from which yellow energy emanates. A sword appears in the girl's hands. She dodges the werewolf's punch with a jump. Once there, in the air above the monster, she raises her weapon and strikes with it without hesitation. Monster, he falls to the floor, clutching at his bleeding eye. Yu Tan also strikes a second blow, during which the monster thanks her. The blonde calmly steps away from the falling werewolf. The bride is the same. She breaks down to him in tears. The newly made husband mentally asks for forgiveness from the girl, because if they had taken him, he would never have seen her again. He thinks it's better that he was just killed here, because then she will definitely be compensated for it, and she will not need it. Nothing for the rest of my life. The fur begins to fall off his skin, and he turns into a normal person. A person, even though somewhere in his heart he is very ashamed that he died right in front of her. One of the guests is shouting about murder. The bride falls on her knees in front of her beloved, asking him not to die. Tears trail down her cheeks. He grits his teeth, begging for someone Call the police and ambulance. After that, she turns to Yutan, saying that she will kill her. The latter explains that she does not know her husband, because he absorbs female energy, and therefore, seems like such a good hubby, and none of the benefactors have a good ending. After that, Yutan turns around, noticing that the bride might hate her, it's her fault, but she would soon forget everything. From the hands of the blonde to the ceiling flies the seal from her hands, from which the light emanates, a strange blue glow. The girl urges everyone to forget about what happened. Everyone around you. They fall, losing consciousness. Yutan also takes out his phone and calls someone to let them know that everything is ready, so he can come and clean up the place. At this moment, a piece of paper flies off the beauty's skirt. A human figure. The hero runs up to the dying werewolf, mentally noting that he can be useful to him. The emperor uses his power to force the boy's soul to occupy the body of a small paper doll. 20 minutes pass, and a transformed paper man who now looks like a small semblance of the wolfman reaches Lin Mo. The dying man himself falls into the darkness. He doesn't know if this will be his end. He is happy that he managed to get revenge, but in his heart is also full of sadness, because he won't be able to be around you. Then the young guy hears the voice of the emperor asking him if he wants to die or be born again. Cheng. He stresses that he doesn't want to die, because he has so much to say to Zhu Lin Yu. He believes that no matter what he has to pay, he wants to live. He emerges from the darkness. On the surface, the emperor is waiting for him, floating in the lotus position in the sky. The hero offers to serve. The guy is 10 years old, and then he will give him a new life. After that, Cheng opens his eyes too. In the real world, the guy looks down at his hands, trying to figure out what's going on, because he's never been able to figure out what's going on. I've heard of such a spell. He looks up and sees an ordinary-looking young man, but then he's gone. Changes his mind, recognizing him as the most powerful young man he has ever seen. The little half-man half-wave kneels down, saying that servant Cheng Zixu is kneeling down in front of the master, and he thanks the master for the opportunity, so he will do any job. Lin Mo gets straight to the point, wanting to know more about today's intern. Cheng doesn't mind, but the topic is quite broad, so he doesn't know where to start. Emperor suggests that it is best to start with your own improvement. It turns out that since there is no aura in this world, the trainees must go to a secret place in order to. However, the secret realms are restricted and are under the rule of sects. Even if the trainees will join the sects and they won't have enough strength, resources, they don't care. They won't allocate much. It was even worse for him as a male cultivator with no background. Once in the sect, it was destroyed by high-level female cultivators, and after that, the servants didn't have any resources for cultivation. Lin Mo clarifies that's how he became a cultivator. The subordinate gives a positive response, noting that many trainees may turn to evil cultivators since they don't have the resources. However, the world of evil cultivators has always been about killing. The brunette asks if Zhao Yutang from Phoenix Group is a good example. Cheng answers positively, adding that Zhao Yutang is not only the top genius of his generation, but also a member of the Zhao family, one of the 3 aristocratic families. The emperor also asks if there are any. This realm is immortal, or is it possible to become immortal? The subordinate has never heard of it. About this, then he asks permission to ask something. It's important for him to know if he can meet your lover during these 10 years. Lin Mo notes that if the subordinate ceases to be necessary for him, then he can do what he wants, but not disclose it. Your identity. Cheng rejoices inwardly, because he didn't even dream of meeting such a good person. Master after death. He notices that it is so easy to negotiate with him, so soon he will be back again. We'll be together with you. The next day, the hero takes a new assistant to school with him. Last, he watches from his briefcase in disbelief. He can't figure out why he's using it. The gentleman goes to school, and then he assumes that he just took over the place. Cheng. He carefully observes what is happening, noticing that the gentleman is much more popular than he is. I thought all the girls were looking at him. The wolf man admits to himself that the master is so handsome that if he were a girl, he would have fallen for him long ago. Seeing at the extraordinary mix of emotions on Cheng Zixu's face, the emperor stiffens, asking himself, I wonder if this world can be gender neutral at all. As Lin Mo walks over to his desk, he notices something unusual. In his shelf is food. It is suggested that it could have been Sun Yunshu, but this assumption quickly disappears when Yang Hui comes up to him, saying that she remembers that he likes it all, so she bought it. This is for him to eat. A cousin intervenes in the conversation of the two, who does not understand what it is. It means everything. He puts a hand on the girl's shoulder, demanding an explanation. The latter emphasizes that it's quite normal to buy food for your fiancé. These words infuriate Zixuan, who he calls her a brute and raises his hand to slap her. Yang Hui intercepts the kick in time, flying, urging the guy to stop. At this moment, Lin Mo mentally realizes that the probability of hitting Zixuan was 0%. The girl declares that Tom, you should stop bothering Lin Mo, otherwise she won't be responsible for herself anymore. These words are even stronger. They make the guy angry. His eyes get wet, and then he runs out of the classroom. Yang Hui notices he will go to his own place, but if Lin Mo is touched by someone in the future, then he will have to go to his own place. Just tell her that. Two classmates are listening intently to this entire conversation. Couples. One of them notes that as soon as Lin Mo became more beautiful, Yang Hui immediately changed their attitude towards him, that it is very mean. The interlocutor replies that the main reason is that Lin Mo is good at communicating with Zhao Yutang, which is why the girl is trying to stick around like this. It's coming. Midday. Everyone goes to lunch. Meanwhile, Yutan's friend asks Tu to pay attention to a group chat where everyone writes that a girl named Yang Hui is taking people away from her. The blonde doesn't know if this is being written by idiots, because she doesn't like this fat guy at all, so he doesn't like her. He can do what he wants. Then a voice from the side notices that Lin Mo is no longer a fat man. The two friends pay attention to Yang Hui, who has arrived at their table. Right in front of them, she turns to the emperor, offering to eat together. Yutan's friend immediately understands that it's time for a real battle. She also informs Yutan that Yang Hui hates her. Here, the blonde woman loudly demands that Lin Mo doesn't talk to Yan Hui anymore, otherwise she will kick him. Backside. These words make even the eternally unflappable hero lose control of his emotions. The brunette calls the girls idiots, then takes a bag of food and goes on his own favorite place. Yang Hui follows him. The emperor admits to himself that he did not expect that. Together with his cultivation, he will receive such a curse, so he admits that he will not be able to survive. Not enough practice. At this time, Cheng notices that the master is the only one who is jealous of Zhao Yutang. The blonde asks her friend if she thought she heard him swear at her. The same. He says it doesn't matter, because if she'd kicked his ass in front of everyone, he'd definitely have. If he hadn't married, she would have been responsible. Yutang decides to forget about it quickly. After all, it becomes a person with the surname He, who is so confident in himself that he climbed on it. Lin Mo makes it to the roof, where an eternal rival awaits him, urging him to continue the battle. The emperor can sense this fiery hostility coming from the girl. He suggests that she holds a grudge against him for everything. The emperor sits down and makes his move. The girl stiffens, cursing under her breath, because the opponent made too difficult a move. But I also planned a counterattack. Lin Mo marvels at this girl's skill, because now he will have to think carefully before then to make a move. Then his phone starts ringing. He opens his bag, takes out his chopsticks, and starts eating. The demon is annoyed by this, so she asks if it is so boring for him to play. The guy says that this is not so, because it's just time to eat. The girl makes a mental note that if he eats, then sooner or later he will recover again. While there is an opportunity, it is solved. Ask the person you're talking to if they've seen a fat schoolboy on the roof. The emperor begins to sweat, answering that he had never seen it. The reborn one notices to herself that just from the thought of this fat man's ribs hurt her. So as not to be bored, he pulls out his phone. She catches a glimpse of it. A group chat that talks about a fat guy who has had plastic surgery and he became a handsome man. 2 photos are sent to a group chat. It's about Lin Mo, of course. The girl angrily asks if the other person knows the person in the photo. She shows the hero phone number with its old image. She exudes an oppressive aura. The emperor remains unperturbed, giving a negative answer. The girl doesn't understand why he's trying to trick her. She quickly comes to her senses, assuming that the other person is just. He hates his past self. The demon asks the guy not to worry, noticing that she is not going to settle scores with him. She takes a jacket out of her bag and hands it to him, telling him that she's on her way home. I washed it, although I don't think it will fit the guy now. The hero takes the clothes and the interlocutor. He gets to his feet, concluding that they're tied, so he's a terrific opponent. Lin Mo also admits that the girl is very strong, because few people can compare with him. The beauty informs that from today the war between them is over. The hero stops the girl, specifying 2 wins out of 3. She confirms this, adding that my name is Han Xinyu. The emperor tries to remember this name, but at this moment from the pocket of his jacket, Cheng jumps out, complimenting his master on being so strong that everyone is beautiful. Girls fall for it. Here the reborn decides to find out where the evil cultivators come from. Get resources. The subordinate tells you about the network of secret doors. Resources 4. Cultivations are controlled by families, and as long as people manage them, I will. Sinful desires are born. The secret door network has been around for many years and has never been used before. It was being destroyed. It has absolutely everything, and not only evil cultivators, but also others can buy resources. It all comes down to money. After hearing the new information, Lin Mo decides to find out how he usually made money. It turns out that Cheng carried out murder orders, but a quick way to make money is to find a mommy. At some point, this old pervert start giving him money. He notices that the master does not need to sell his body, but simply, you need to casually say that he does not have enough money. At this moment, the emperor's hand grabs the body, an impudent person who offers him such reckless things. He immediately admits that he was wrong. Hero puts the subordinate in his pocket, deciding to get home and see if he has any money. Use materials for making talismans. After leaving the roof and exiting the building, Lin Mo bumped into a blonde who immediately noticed he tried to pretend that he didn't know him, but that only made Yu Tang angrier. She quickly approached the emperor, reminding him that his ex had openly bullied her today. I made my stupid face and called her an idiot. The hero just shook his head, emphasizing that she's not his ex. Yu Tang also said that regardless of whether it was true or not, but she, a respected person, so the guy should go with her today. She asked him to climb up the stairs, assuring him that he would definitely give him a ride home later. The brunette pondered the situation. Obviously, he didn't want to agree, but he didn't want to give himself away either. The blonde clarified whether he sits down on his own, or whether he should be carried in his arms. These words prompted the reborn to act. He decided to take the seat himself. Yang Hui was watching from the sidelines, and she was expressing an open reaction. Hatred for Zhao Yutang. A voice inside her asked why she couldn't just hypnotize him. The girl also stated that she wanted Lin Mo to completely submit to her. Sitting in the back, the guy still decided to ask if the girl would let him go. The last one, she called him naive, noting that he should not believe in the words of women. Lin Mo's here, after reading her thoughts, he demanded that the interlocutor better not think about such things. This drove me to paint Yu Tan, forcing him to stop. The hero began to take off his helmet, while the blonde clarified. Does he think she's going to chase him? The emperor is almost certain that it's true. Beauties, embarrassed by these words, tries to deny the obvious. It's just a good thing. A brunette who asks her to remember that they're just classmates and she shouldn't mess with them. These words bring the fair sex out of themselves, because so many men, they want to be with her, and if it wasn't for the games, she wouldn't even talk to him. At this point, Cheng admires the strength of his master because he imperceptibly managed to attach a paper bag to the girl. A little man made out of A4 paper. Yu Tang leaves, allowing Lin Mo to return home. The same thing. It is interesting to learn more about the network of secret doors, so once in his room, he will be able to find out more about the network of secret doors. Starts a conversation with his subordinate. The half-human half-wolf starts typing the name of the site on the keyboard, stating that if the master wants to use the secret door network, then the servant will immediately arrange everything. Emperor. He sits down on the site and reads a couple of ads. In the first, he talks about the best long-legged dog, a beauty that you can take if you're the one. The second one shows a unique secret system 7 times a night on a first-come, first-served basis. The reborn still decides. Find out if this is the same magic site that the servant mentioned. The latter asks for the master. Take a closer look, because through these lustful women you can go to the treasure page. Through a few moments and a couple of mouse clicks, the hero goes to the site that was so important to him. Required. He doesn't really like what practice looks like in this world, because he doesn't know what to do with it. Low-level ones in the magic world, they turned into first-class ones in this world. Here it is. He notices that the cheapest stone and ginseng are worth 1 million. Cheng notes that if the master does not have enough money, he can find rich families and go to tricks to get rid of them. From them, the emperor glares at his subordinate, asking if he thinks he cares. Money. The interlocutor admits that the servant was wrong, and the master has great power and find another way. Here Lin Mo demands Cheng for his savings, if any. The subordinate refuses, because there are no more than 30,000 left on his account, which are. Having realized that a huge amount of money could not be obtained quickly and easily, the hero switches to another tab. Cheng immediately asks if the master wants to make a talisman. Realizing that he has hit the nail on the head, Cheng explains that with all due respect to Zio, the price of the talisman it is very high and extremely difficult to manufacture, and he is also afraid that all the materials will be of poor quality. Characteristics. The Emperor asks him not to worry about such things, because he is going to do low-quality mascots. Lin Mo goes back to practice. Cheng saw the master's purchase, mentally emphasizes that this is an extremely small resource for making a talisman. On the next morning, the reborn puts on a hood, mask, and glasses. He goes out to a point, getting things. A courier drives up to him and delivers everything that he ordered, asking him to deliver. It has 5 stars and wishing you all the best. The hero also understands that the transfer process itself has turned out to be very difficult. Simple as that. Cheng also says that the network of secret doors, like the aristocrats, has spread to. This world is everywhere. Some time passes. The Emperor is at home. He's already unpacked it. He picked up the brushes he'd bought and gathered his thoughts for the talisman. The subordinate thinks to himself that he has already seen the masters of magic many times. Mascots, each of which worked with paper and ink, but the chance of success is only 30%. The guy exhales heavily, then gets down to business. Before Cheng could finish thinking, the Emperor had already finished with the talismans. Subordinate. He was amazed at the speed of creating talismans, from which he can still feel the aura of a dragon in addition. Lin Mo asks him not to make a fuss, explaining that this has been done for thousands of years, although in his mind he says it was a pity that he only had enough strength for 2 talismans, so he would have to resort to buying one. Magic stones. The reborn one immediately put the talisman up for auction and installed it. The initial price is 500,000. Within a minute, several customers appeared, who immediately began to raise the price. The Emperor marvels at such efficiency. Cheng also explains, it seemed that magic talismans had always been very popular, not only among cultivators, but also with the rest of the world, and among ordinary people. For them, talismans are the most real treasure, which, according to them, is the most precious thing in the world. However, it can lead to immortality. This information pleases Lin Mo, but then he feels that the paper man was stirring. He gets in touch with it. At this moment, Zhao Yutang, sitting at the computer using secret doors. The blonde also notices that they belong to. People were treating her like animals for the boy's disappearance, but it wouldn't have been her fault. Bothered if it wasn't related to the previous monster. Here the girl stumbles upon the hero's talisman, which she sells at auction. Its price is already at 880,000. She immediately notices that he is very good, and with the help of this, you can prepare for a meeting with the creature. The hero also realizes that Zhao Yutang may still be alive, useful to him. He also wonders if the case of the missing boy is connected to a demon lord. Lunch arrives. The Emperor, as before, sends to the roof, but the Trinity gets in his way. The girl who urges him not to behave like this, because of this, everyone falls for him. Hero, it's getting serious. Yang Hui, who is getting bigger and bigger, is watching from around the corner. I like my ability more, because thanks to it, she hypnotized those guys and sent Lin Mo to cause trouble, wanting to come to the rescue like a real heroine, so that he couldn't ignore her anymore. The Emperor is rude enough to ask the guys to leave with him. Roads. This makes them angry, because how dare any fat man tell them to do it. The leader calls for helpers. Hold him, wanting to see how he would be able to save his face in front of Yutang after this. The reborn one grabs the leader's head with the palm of his hand, then easily overpowers him, driving him into the wall. The Emperor glares at the 2 remaining guys. Their leader is clearly unable to fight after such a hero attack. They're going to attack him with their fists. Yang Hui, she thinks this is the perfect moment to show up. But the silhouette of a girl with a black face flashes in front of her. Gorgeous black hair, making her stop. It's a demon that summons guys. Stop and ask what they are doing. The bully who got hit in the face tells a story about that they just wanted to be friends with Lin Mo, and Lin Mo had pushed him sharply. The brunette doesn't believe me. To the whiner, thinking that he was the one who started all this. Yang Hui is angry because this girl dared to mess up its output. She leaves her hiding place, running out into the stairwell and asking if everything is alright. I'm fine with Lin Mo. She explains her appearance by saying that she heard that he was in trouble, so I came running right away. She makes eye contact with the brunette, thanking her for her help and remarking that he would buy her dinner another time. She grabs the hero's arm, starting to pull on herself. Then the brunette catches her hand by the wrist, declaring that it is not appropriate for a woman to approach and grab the boy's hand. This behavior angers Yan Hui, who demands that the girl mind her own business. Emperor, he asks his girlfriend to forget about it, after which he passes by the blonde. The latter is included in a real frenzy, about to hypnotize him right now. However, Lin Mo calmly. He goes down the stairs. She realizes that there is no effect, and the entity inside her is asking her not to use the spell today because he has a bad feeling about it. At this moment, Vladika Demonov notices that she has heard about Yonghui rejecting him once. She passes by, noting that it was very stupid. The blonde grits her teeth until they creak. The veins on her face, they become visible to the eye. She exudes pure hatred and a desire to kill. The hero returns. After school, he goes home and sits down at the computer to see the price of his talismans. Auction ended. It turns out that someone paid 2 magic stones and 3,000 yuan for it. The mascot. The emperor notices that through the little man he saw that one of the applicants was Zhao Yutan. He remembers that the girl must be from the Phoenix group, so he assumes that his activities may be criminalized. The hero starts a conversation with a subordinate, reminding him that Zhao Yutang from his words. He is a member of the Phoenix group, which works to expel illegal practitioners and maintaining stability in the country, so of course, being in such an organization, it is necessary for the country to be able to do so. He can do whatever he wants with his money. Cheng explains that these are not the actions of the Phoenixes, for they had already cleared the secret doors several times, and if there was anything they wanted to do, they would have done it. Would do it directly. Lin Mo sees a few messages on the net under the auction. Customers want to meet it, a man, because some of them have business with him. This leads the hero to the conclusion that he needs to. He would have to keep a low profile, otherwise the entire world of cultivators would be looking for him. The brunette notices that he can finally feel like a luxury. He decides to see what progress is being made. Achieved by Zhao Yutan. Having established a connection with the paper man, he returns to the girl's house. Still investigating the missing boy case. All the people in her records are related to Yuanya's body, and have something to do with the demon. The blonde is conducting surveillance in real time. The reborn man admits that he did not think about the fact that she has such a habit. A man with looks like a girl or vice versa takes pictures of himself on the phone camera, claiming that it is amazing hairstyle. Yutang gets angry because it's not the hairstyle at all, but the overall way it looks. The goal looks like this. The girl continues to observe the target. Ta logs into the internet via computer, starting to watch and Google different things: photography skills, beauty filters, cosmetologists, color lenses, thin face, thin waist effect, long legs effect, thin face effect. The neck. The girl can't stand it, closing her eyes and screaming that she's going to throw up. Yutang then remembers the fat man, remarking that it's not a good idea to do this alone with him. To the next day at lunch, the hero remembers these words, not quite understanding what the blonde was talking about. Here it is. The opponent in the game calls, emphasizing that if he is not in the mood to play, then they should move the game to another day, because it doesn't want to win without a battle. The emperor assures us that he's alright. The demon lord silently notes that the enemy, as usual, does not. He's going to admit defeat, but he doesn't feel any danger either. Lin Mo stands up from his seat. He goes to the edge of the roof. He wants to absorb the power of Yuan Yang, and to do this, he needs to create the formation. This kind of evil formation will only manifest power in places with heavy energy. Yin, the guy closes his eyes, standing at the edge. He says it would be nice if there was tea. Girl encourages him not to fall. The emperor goes to the exit from the roof. The eternal rival is waiting for him with a board. By facial expression. At this moment, Yonghui is watching them from the entrance. When the hero enters the building, she demands to stop, for her sake. The reborn one decides to find out what's going on. The girl wants to say something, but the brunette interrupts the conversation, telling Yonghui not to mess with Lin Mo anymore. From the latter comes a frightening aura, because this girl dared to touch her boyfriend. She runs away, stating that the guy needs to wait for her. The hero does not understand when he managed to become someone's boyfriend. In the evening, Yonghui climbs into the tub. She admits to herself that she greatly underestimated Lin Mo, because she needs to. I should have taken him away and locked him up from the start. She climbs out of the bathroom, starting to draw something on the wall. In the mirror, thinking that now everything will work out for her, Yonghui decides today to hypnotize him into becoming her submissive dog. In the dead of night, a strange dark energy bursts into the hero's house. She is fast approaching him, but the force of the emperor is not asleep, repelling the attack. This makes the guy and his subordinate wake up. Chen, worried about the owner not understanding what it was. Lin Mo realizes that it was hypnosis. He realizes that he never imagined that someone in this world would try to hypnotize him. The emperor. Morning comes. The brunette goes to her class. Yonghui blocks his way. She asks then, without waiting for an answer, he leaves, giggling nervously, and asks her to come to her house tonight, mentally noting that she used hypnosis last night, so Lin Mo should submit to it. A grin appears on the face of the reborn because he immediately puts two things together. The fact that Yang Hui is the source of his hypnosis from yesterday. The guy leaves a paper man on the girl's hair, but after a couple of minutes he loses it. Connect with your creation. Yan Hui calmly found the paper man and destroyed it. Using your power. Sword Essence is amazed that this bastard dared to follow them. The girl tries to understand who they contacted, and the essence notices that it doesn't matter at all. After all, they must not let him thwart their plans. When lessons end, the Emperor leaves school. He realizes that since the little man has disappeared, either the Demon Lord is behind Yang Hui, or a demonic sword. He also remembers that there are practitioners in this world, so he doesn't. He wants to act rashly. For this reason, he decides to contact the Phoenixes and Zhao Yutang, so that they can help him with his investigation. Lin Mo glances at his watch and notes that if his phone is turned on, it will be too late. If the calculations are correct, then Zhao Yutang should have already arrived for the meeting. A hero remembers what the world calls running into porcelain. He runs out onto the road, where he is hit by Yutan. The girl is amazed at this development of events. She immediately takes off her helmet and runs over to the guy, trying to figure out why he's there. I ran out without looking at the road. The blonde lifts the guy's body, asking if he's okay. Good. She's ready to take him to the hospital. The hero looks at his hand. Yutan remarks, woolen cloth, and the guy himself mentally notices that the Emperor has also learned to be bad things. Without another word, he gets to his feet, starting to move as if on automatic. Blonde, trying to figure out what's wrong with him. She grabs his arm. Lin Mo then replies that today is, in the evening, he should go to Yang Hui's house. Something clicks in the blonde's head. Yutan puts her hands on the boy's shoulders, urging him to wake up, but he doesn't respond to her words. Then she realizes that it could be hypnosis. Blonde uses her powers trying to dispel the power of hypnosis. In Lin Mo's eyes, not even a drop of consciousness appears. This leads to Tan concluded that her power had no effect on the hypnosis, which meant that the caster had been unable to do anything about it. Very strong. She focuses more energy in the palm of her hand, then slams her palm into the ground. The guy's forehead. After that, the brunette regained consciousness. His gaze became meaningful, and he asked how he ended up here. Yutan notices that she is also curious to know why he went to Yang Hui's place. Hero. He asks what his fiancé has to do with her. This causes embarrassment on the face. Female interlocutors. She says that the guy suddenly jumped out on the road, and she hit him, so he needs to go to the doctor with her. He claims that he is fine, and then he is going to leave. The blonde doesn't understand how Lin Mo can be back to normal after being hit by a motorcycle. The brunette declares that he does not want to go anywhere with her, and if she is so sorry, then she can translate. Money for medical expenses. The beauty grabs the guy by the scruff of the neck, pulling him to her end, calling for an end to this clowning. She hands him a check, noting that he's just afraid that she's not going to let him get away with it. She would haunt him. Yutan angrily leaves, urging the guy to pay for himself treatment, and don't you dare remind her of it, or she'll kill him. The Emperor looks down and sees a check for several $100 million. With this money, he wouldn't mind buying 100 spirit stones. After getting on a motorcycle, the girl contacts someone, asking for information about Yang Hui, a student, Fengsing High School. She suspects that she has something to do with the missing persons case. Voice from the other side accepts it. The blonde gets to the house of the former Lin Mo. She's filming helmet and summons his sword from the ring, then bursts into the house. There's no one inside, so Yutang quickly gets to the girl's room, where the walls are covered with hanging pictures, photos of a young guy I know. The blonde looks down at the table and sees name of books. This makes her tense up, because they are called Lin's User Guide. Mo. Yutan decides to look into them. After reading a few lines, it is filled with red paint from and calls Yan Hui a pervert. At this point, the voice over the phone informs you that a message has appeared. Something new. Yutan reveals that Yang Hui is missing. Chapter 20. The blonde begins to analyze. Judging by Yang Hui's actions, she really has attitude to disappearance. She asks that the alert group announce the arrest and search, because they have to find her no matter what. At this time, the hero also reflects on the current situation. It's not hard for him. It was obvious that Yang Hui had contacted Mo Zong based on what happened to the person. But this one, Gordo, isn't the only place where a lot of people have gone missing. Yang Hui might just be one of them. The Demon Lord's pawns, so he would have to try and find Yang Hui as quickly as possible. At this moment, a knock on the door catches Lin Mo's attention. It's his cousin who's asking, "Did the guy read the latest news?" Zixuan doesn't know who would want Yang Hui. The hero notices that he doesn't know her very well. These words put the cousin in a stupor. However, the emperor has no intention of continuing the dialogue with him, so he slams the door in front of him. Zixuan runs to complain to his father about the behavior of a relative. It turns out that Yang Hui was a suspect in a mistreatment and murder case a few years ago. The location of this person is now unknown and is still being investigated. A manhunt, and anyone who finds evidence will receive a reward. Seeing a photo of a girl on the web, the emperor admits that this team is working effectively, but there is still no news about Yang Hui. Chen, it is amazing that such a cruel and ruthless woman wants to defame the name of the master. Lin Mo, however, he realizes that if the demon lord consumes Yuan Yang's power, he will inevitably create a formation, and it will manifest its evil in a place where the concentration of yin energy is high. The brunette starts looking in a paper box of something. The subordinate mentally wonders what the master is looking for. The reborn takes out a few pieces of wood, then uses his power to transform them into some object. Cheng recognizes it immediately. This is the Sinan, a kind of compass. The guy notices that with the help of the demon lord's skills, the phoenixes couldn't find Yan Hui. This is only possible if there are no magical powers involved, so he has the ability to cleansing Sinan. The hero takes out the stone, finishing the creation of the artifact. Subordinate. He is amazed at the strength of the master, because he does not improve for a relatively long time, but already has such incredible power. The emperor asks him to remove this thing. Cheng accepts the order, wondering what Sunin is for. Lin Mo explains that it is used to find places with a lot of yin energy. Here, the emperor notices a movement outside the window. His subordinate quickly hides with a new item in his pocket. The familiar face of Yutan appears in the window, knocking on the window and smiling. The guy gets it phone while pretending to call the police. This angers the girl, who urges him to open the window. The reborn still fulfills her request, after which he asks what she is doing here. The blonde asks not to talk nonsense. She wants to see where he was hit today.